Do you desire to develop a career in media and journalism, beauty and cosmetology, fashion and designing? Then the best institution to help you achieve your desired goals is GH Schools. In our media school, we offer 1-year certificate and 2 years diploma courses in television and film production, journalism and media studies, journalism and media art. In our cosmetology school, we offer 2 years full cosmetology course, 1.5 years beauty therapy course, 1 year beauty specialist course. In the fashion school, our programs include 1 year certificate course in fashion design, 2 years diploma course in fashion design and technology. At GH Schools, industrial attachment is assured. We offer 70% practical training and 30% theory. Our fees are affordable and paid in installments. Register online at www.admissions.ghschools.online. GH Schools. Train, practice, achieve.
Good morning. This is the newspaper review segment on Pan-African Television. Pan-African Television's Good Morning Africa. Let me say a very big thank you to the news team for bringing you the early morning news, and also to the Gold team for bringing you the Gold. As we always do, we will take you through the topics of discussion. I'll introduce my guest, but don't forget that we are streaming live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. We are also live on YouTube at Pan-African Television. This program is very interactive, and so you can as well leave your comments, suggestions, questions, and whatnot on our social media pages. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. You can also connect with us via our WhatsApp stroke text line on 0260846539, 0260846539. As you can see, I have this pink thing here. Well, as part of Pan-African Television's initiative to observe the breast cancer month, we are hashtagging pink for her, pink for her, pink for her, in order to support, help our sisters, and to some extent our brothers who are suffering from breast cancer. And so we are observing the month perfectly. Take note, probably we'll be having some activities and all of that to, of course, seal the month, the breast cancer month. And so be part of it. Make sure that you help a sister, and to some extent you help a brother who is suffering from, breast cancer. We are told that breast cancer is not a disease for women alone. Sometimes it affects men. And so let's help them. Let's make sure that we bring to an end breast cancer. But let me take you through the topics of discussion this morning. On the African story, house of former Prime Minister of Cote d'Ivoire bent. Daily Graphic story on page 5. House of former Prime Minister of Cote d'Ivoire bent down. Daily Graphic story on page 5. Mahama Jabs Akufo-Addo accuses him of drowning Ghana in huge debt vortex. Inside newspaper front page, and continues on page 2. My life is in danger. MP cries out. Daily Searchlight story on page 1 and 2. And Ghana's balance of payment records 1.47 billion US dollar deficit. Economy Times front page of the newspaper. And so these are the stories we are going to be discussing from now till 10 o'clock this morning. I've been joined in the studio by soprano Sapon Sylvester, who is a member of the Convention People's Party, CPP, and also Delali Sokpo, a member of the National Democratic Congress communication team. We are expecting Mujib Rahman, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party communication team, to join us. That's when he joins us, he'll be part of the discussion. But let me start with you, Soprano, on the African story.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Justice, and good morning to my fellow Ghanaians and all listeners. And just by the way, Justice, just to quickly inform you that the Convention People's Party, we are really campaigning hard. We feel that we stand a good chance of winning the next election in December. And as we speak, our flag bearer and national chairman are out there. One of the things they did over the weekend in Tamale and in Asante Mampong, they were present. In Asante Mampong, we lost a delegate. And, just so you know, our delegates, all the CPP delegates across the country, they have a life insurance policy.
Okay.
Every CPP delegate has a life insurance policy. And we lost a delegate in Mampong over the weekend.
Okay.
So our party chairman was there to present 50 million cedis to the
50 million
50 million cedis.
Okay.
That's old Ghana cedis.
You mean 5,000 Ghana?
To be precise.
Okay.
But we said 50 million.
Okay.
50
now
million.
You say 50 million Ghana cedis, and you're mentioning your a very huge amount of money.
You see, I said 50 million cedis, not Ghana cedis.
Okay.
But I'm talking about the old money. But 50 million.
What's the difference between 50 million cedis and 50 million Ghana cedis?
the Akufo-Addo government. That's the difference. They are borrowing. But anyway, so the CPP is out there, and we are doing our best. These are some of the things we'll be doing for our people, our country, if we get opportunity. Kwame, forgive me, Justice.
Yeah.
So to address the first topic, the issue of the Prime Minister of Cote d'Ivoire, former Prime Minister of Cote d'Ivoire, whose house has been burnt down. I'm very apprehensive about the situation in Cote d'Ivoire right now, especially because of the disappointing, what I consider to be the rather disappointing, behavior by President Alassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire. He has turned out to be a massive disappointment insofar as his democratic bona fides are concerned. We all remember what happened in Cote d'Ivoire not too long ago, before Mr. Ouattara, before Monsieur Ouattara, assumed office. You understand? There was a civil war. Okay, Monsieur Alassane Ouattara, was apparently hell-bent on becoming the leader of his country. And there were those of us Africans, fellow Africans across the world who felt that, he seemed like a really good material, not only for the Ivorian people, but for the African push, as I call it, the African push, to show that we indeed are capable of running our own affairs. Now, Monsieur Alassane Ouattara, as you know, is highly accomplished. I think he's a finance person.
Yeah.
He's worked with all the, Bretton Woods institutions, most of them, the white people institutions that are somehow, running Africa, But anyway, so Mr. Ouattara is someone who has a grasp of modern economic management.
Okay.
And so, we felt that, President Gbagbo had, finished his 2 terms in office.
Yeah.
He was trying to do a 3rd term, and we felt it was inappropriate. It tampered with the emerging African narrative vis-a-vis, good democratic governance. And, we were of the, opinion that why is Mr. Gbagbo seemingly, dragging Cote d'Ivoire down the route of Mobutu Sese Seko and Paul Biya and the other forever presidents in Africa. So be that as it may, Mr. Ouattara eventually assumed office. Okay. And then now he insists on a 3rd term. It is shocking that Mr. Ouattara is behaving like that. I cannot help but link Honorable His Excellency Monsieur Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire to His Excellency President Akufo-Addo of Ghana because they are friends. You understand? Mr. Ouattara and Nana Akufo-Addo are good friends. They have very good relationship.
Okay.
And so it beats me that Mr. Ouattara is behaving like this, because I cannot for the life of me imagine that President Akufo-Addo would insist on a third term. But then again, when you consider that he's very good friends with Monsieur Ouattara, it makes me wonder, is it likely that His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo might try to go for a third term, just like his very good friend next door in Cote d'Ivoire? Because otherwise, I don't understand how come President Akufo-Addo, to the best of my knowledge, has not come out with a statement opposing Mr. Ouattara's move. This is especially because when Cote d'Ivoire cops, Ghana catches a cold. You understand? The fortunes and the stability of Cote d'Ivoire are inextricably intertwined with those, with that of Ghana. You understand? Not too long ago, I think a couple of weeks ago, former President Konan Bedie of Cote d'Ivoire was in Kumasi to visit the Asantehene. I read the news story, and it turns out that Konan Bedie, his should I say tribe, or his ethnic background, his ethnic background, or his people, where he comes from, okay, in Cote d'Ivoire, actually pays allegiance to the Asante, the Golden Stool, the Asantehene. I was, impressed and, privileged to find this out, that indeed the Asantehene's reach extends even into Cote d'Ivoire. But more importantly, it shows you that Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire are really just one people, separated by a colonial imaginary line. You understand? So if there is a civil war, okay, because you see, the civil war in Cote d'Ivoire did not necessarily end. It just, sort of petered out. It calmed down. But it is simmering to varying degrees, depending on how you look at it. So when I consider the simmering nature of the crisis that occurred under President Gbagbo in Cote d'Ivoire, when I consider that simmering nature of that crisis and the root causes of that crisis, and I look at what Mr. Alassane Ouattara is pushing, that he insists on running for a third term, then I'm really worried. You see, I'm really worried because it looks to me like he's, stoking the embers of the conflict. And Ghana will pay the price more than, say, Liberia or Sierra Leone next door, or more than Burkina Faso up north. If there is a massive, if the crisis in Cote d'Ivoire resuscitates itself, you can be sure that you and I, that little money that we are surviving on under President Akufo-Addo's government, will have to share it with the Ivorian refugees who would flood this country, and would, being that they are our relatives, will be compelled to share the little food that we have under the Akufo-Addo administration with all the plenty people coming from Cote d'Ivoire, because of what appears to be, on the verge of occurring, because of President Alassane Ouattara. So we are taken aback, we are disappointed, and we feel that the French government and Mr. Alassane Ouattara victimized Prime Minister or President Gbagbo, you understand, and put him in prison and just messed with him and Mrs. Gbagbo, the president's wife. Now, be it as it may, we understand that President Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, our beloved dear leader in Ghana, he's good friends with Mr. Alassane Ouattara. On top of that, he, our president, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, our beloved dear leader, is also the chairman of the ECOWAS. You understand? So the other day, I saw him on TV, President Akufo-Addo, trying to resolve the issue that occurred in Mali. Okay, when I think the colonel, the young colonel, organized the coup d'etat, a successful coup d'etat, and he was invited by ECOWAS under the leadership of our president, His Excellency Akufo-Addo, to Pediatric Lodge, President Kwame Nkrumah's Pediatric Lodge, where they came together, the ECOWAS leaders, to resolve this issue. And by the grace of God, and I'll give credit to President Akufo-Addo, he deserves it. The Malian situation has been contained, you understand? And I want to credit the president of Ghana for leading that effort. I saw on social media the people, the leaders of Mali, the coup d'etat people from Mali, they came with a very, I think a Hercules aeroplane or something like that. But one thing I found most interesting was that on board the Hercules aeroplane that the Malian coup d'etat peoples came to Ghana with was a Bentley vehicle, very nice Bentley vehicle that they sat in and drove to Pediasa Lodge. And I was very impressed that and shocked that, wow, so the leaders of Mali, the Malian people are suffering so much. And when the Mali leadership was coming to the ECOWAS meeting in Accra, they came with a Bentley car, bulletproof, all the trimmings like President Trump's vehicles. Poor Mali. And they were coming to Ghana, and for some reason they didn't want to sit in the Land Cruisers that President Akufo-Addo has acquired for that purpose, for the state. And I thought it was telling that in the midst of all that poverty, they spent all that money to bring a Bentley to Accra to drive for about 15 kilometers and then back into the aeroplane. So that was an interesting point for me. Point I'm making though is that the leader of ECOWAS, or the leader of ECOWAS right now, President Akufo-Addo, this is a good time for him to talk to his good friend, President Alassane Ouattara next door. You understand? We hope that President Akufo-Addo, astute a politician as he is not going to, as the leader of the ECOWAS right now, that President Akufo-Addo is not going to let the horse run out of the barn or escape from the barn before he sends our prestigious Ghana Armed Forces, etc., to go and, calm the situation in Cote d'Ivoire. We think President Akufo-Addo should invite President Alassane Ouattara and remind him of what happened not too long ago in Cote d'Ivoire, and impress upon Mr. Alassane Ouattara that even if he's president for the next 300 years, he will still go to heaven one day. So why is he dragging his country down this path? You've been president for 8 years. What couldn't you see? This is what I keep asking. It's like the issue, the situation with President Akufo-Addo. After 4 years of fumbling and tumbling, President Akufo-Addo wants to, be president again. And we in the C people, we keep on asking ourselves, what is it that President Akufo-Addo wants to do in the next 4 years that he couldn't do today in his first 4 years? Because you see, just as President Akufo-Addo remains president of Ghana, he remains president of Ghana with his supermajority in parliament that he can do everything with. You remember last time around, the parliament, President Akufo-Addo's majority in parliament passed a $24 million tax credit to be given to somebody to build a hotel in expensive cantonments. That bourgeoisie enclave in Accra, where the U.S. ambassador and other very important, highfalutin, well-to-do millionaires live. So President Akufo-Addo gave $24 million for them to build a hotel, a luxury hotel that very few Ghanaians will ever experience with his supermajority. You understand? So I'm calling on President Akufo-Addo, to take action to advise President Alassane Ouattara, because we don't have money. You see, we don't have money to be going to Cote d'Ivoire to stop their wars in case they should begin fighting again. And that looks like it's likely to happen, considering the rather sad behavior of Mr. Alassane Ouattara, who doesn't seem to be, he seems insatiable. We don't know how much power is going to be good enough for Mr. Alassane Ouattara, who is President Akufo-Addo's friend. And in that regard, we in the C people, we don't even know how much power is good enough for President Akufo-Addo, because after 4 years of being president and fumbling with the economy and tumbling along the way as he fumbled with the economy, now President Akufo-Addo says we should give him 4 more years to do more. They say 4 more to do more. And then some of us, we are sitting down and scratching our heads and wondering, what is it that President Akufo-Addo wants to do that he has not been able to do now? Because he has a supermajority in parliament. You remember, he used that supermajority to give $24 million tax-free everything to want somebody to build a luxury hotel in expensive cantonments where rich people are living. And a lot of the people in places like Kintampo, places like Chiranda, places like Tahiri Ekra, Mahama Ekra, they don't even have water. When I went there last time, they told me that President Akufo-Addo came there in 2016 and he actually begged them. You remember President Akufo-Addo used to be begging Ghanaians to vote for him, that I beg you, please vote for me, I beg you. So he went to beg them, and he promised them that he would do a dam for them in those villages. Just as I've been to those places, okay, and they share the water, a pond with cow and goat and pig, and even the chicken go and dip their beak in the water too, and then the human beings, Ghanaians, in President Akufo-Addo's Ghana, after the pigs and the cow and the chicken and the goat have gone to drink the water, because Nana Akufo-Addo has not been able to keep his promise to provide water and a dam for the people on that stretch. You see, the people are sharing the water with these animals. And you know, these animals, they don't have a veterinary officer to inject them. So you can be sure they are infected with all kinds of diseases. Then these Ghanaians are drinking the water. And then Nana Akufo-Addo and his party, they came again and they said that, give us 4 more to do more. So the people in that area and some of us, we are wondering, 4 more to do what precisely, Nana Akufo-Addo, Mr. Presidente? Please tell us. Because already, to even today, you have a supermajority in parliament. And President Akufo-Addo, if he wanted to, if he was thinking about the people at Tahiri Ekura, the people at Mahama Ekura, the people at Chiranda, the people at Bawakura, and its environs, today, President Akufo-Addo can use that supermajority that he used to give $24 million to somebody to build an expensive bourgeoisie hotel in, you know, the enclave, the rich people's enclave, cantonments. He could use some of that power to give ordinary pipe-borne water. Okay, we will not borehole water to the people at Chiranda, to the people at Mahama Ekura, Tahiri Ekura, Baba Tokuma, so that they could drink water. But he's not doing that. You see, that supermajority, we want to urge the president to use it to also advise President Alassane Ouattara to be very, 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 very careful the way he's handling the Cote d'Ivoire issue. Because, you see, if Mr. Ouattara is not careful, he should take a look at what is happening in Sudan right now to Mr. Omar al-Bashir. And Mr. Ouattara should understand that he's not above the law.
Okay.
You understand? So we wish the people of Cote d'Ivoire well. We pray for them. Not only because we love them, but because in Ghana we are suffering. So we don't want them to fight and then they will come here to come and share the small food that we are eating these days in Ghana, because the economy is so terrible in a bad shape under President Akufo-Addo. We don't have a lot of money in Ghana. So we want our neighbors, everybody, peace, peace, peace. Because if you fight and you come to Ghana, look, we don't really have a lot of food here. The country is very difficult. If you are in Cote d'Ivoire and you are listening to me, I want you to know that Ghana is in dire straits. Our economy is in big trouble. We have borrowed so much money and we can't pay. There is massive unemployment in the country. The president is not able to keep his promises. If you go to his stronghold, his biggest stronghold, Kumasi, it is as filthy as any other place with, you know, aerially bombarded type roads. You understand? So if you are in Cote d'Ivoire, understand that we don't have time to be, you know, giving our food to you if you fight. And don't think that you will come to Ghana and come and take advantage of the free SHS. You understand? Because we don't have money to be giving free education around like that. So, dear people in Cote d'Ivoire, we love you very much. Don't fight. Mr. Alassane Ouattara, check yourself. President Akufo-Addo, we appeal to you. Kindly talk to your good friend, Mr. Ouattara, so that he changes his behavior. So that maybe he becomes like you. After all, he got his 4 years to do more. He couldn't do anything. And now he wants 4 more years. Okay, so we bless the people of Cote d'Ivoire. We want President Akufo-Addo to have a very serious conversation as our leader and as the leader of the West African ECOWAS group to talk to Mr. Ouattara. We have no time for war. No time for war. Just peace. So that we in Ghana, the little food that we are eating these days, because the economy is so difficult under President Akufo-Addo, we can continue to enjoy it small. Because people are suffering in Ghana too much. The last thing we want is a flood of refugees from Cote d'Ivoire to come and share our small little food that under President Akufo-Addo we have gotten that Ghanaians are suffering like that. Thank you very much, Justice.
Thank you so much, Soprano, for your submission. Now, Dela, on the African Story, House of former Prime Minister of Cote d'Ivoire bent down.
Justice, good morning to your cherries viewers, and good morning to the incoming President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Good morning to my own incoming MP in Ewutu-Senye's constituency, Honorable Felix Nakoyo Kuno, and my own constituency chairman Stephen Ofosu Ajare. Just as I've read a story on BBC, and the account given by BBC to me, it's really not pleasant at all. Especially coming from the backdrop of what Cote d'Ivoire as a country have actually gone through. You remember they have actually gone through a civil war. There has been a political instability as far as Cote d'Ivoire is concerned. And what it has happened to a lot of innocent people, the number of lives that were lost, in recent past when there was this political, upheaval between the General Gay, the Ouattara groups and what have you not. And now, prior to even the coming into power of President Ouattara, what happened to Laurent Gbagbo, to the extent that there was a dispute in respect to the outcome of the election, when Gbagbo was even tried in the Hague or so, and he was even incarcerated. He was detained for a couple of years until recent times when he was released from custody. And people had thought, so we have all thought that looking at Alassane Ouattara, with his credential and the kind of posture that he exhibited prior to becoming the president of Cote d'Ivoire, we thought that he would have digressed a bit from what African used to be, where people try to perpetuate themselves in political office in as much as they have finished with their tenure. And at a point in time, he made promise to the good people of Cote d'Ivoire that he's indeed going to step down after he has served his 8-year, two-term, which is 8-year, tenure. His preferred successor, Amadou Coulibaly, he was his preferred choice, and unfortunately he died a tragic death, and we're told that he suffered from heart attack and he passed on.
Yeah. And
after months of that, President Ouattara, his posture, his demeanor, there was wild speculation and rumor out there in Cote d'Ivoire, even within the sub-region and even within the international community, that he had nature and ambition to remain in power, to the extent that he quickly had to rush for the laws or for the constitution to be amended. I mean, once again, it's confirmed that if you look at what we are witnessing today in Cote d'Ivoire, vis-a-vis what happened during the era of Laurent Gbagbo, it tells you that, I mean, the people of Cote d'Ivoire will feel a bit so disappointed, will feel a bit so betrayed by currently what we are witnessing as far as what they call President Ouattara actions and inactions is concerned. I don't even understand the reason why, having had the opportunity to rule the country for 8 years, 2 terms, forgotten about the circumstances by which he became the president of Cote d'Ivoire. And all of a sudden, the people that entrusted you with their mandate 2 consecutive terms. And I don't know what he failed to do. I don't know what he's scared of. If you have decided to allow to step down and allow your preferred candidate to succeed you, which we are being told that he died, I mean, tragically and what have you not, why can't you repose that same confidence into another person other than yourself? What is it that all of a sudden somebody that created an image of a democratic sort to the international community, to within the sub-region, to the extent that people say, okay, this is the man who is bringing certain level of sanity within the politics in Africa, all of a sudden is becoming more or less like a tyrant. What is he afraid of? What has he done to the extent that he is unable to relinquish power? I mean, and I'm even expecting, Justice, you are a journalist. I want to ask you whether there has been a statement from ECOWAS, which is being shared by our president, condemning the actions of one of his close friends, President Ouattara, in respect to this attempt to perpetuate himself into power. I mean, has there been a statement coming from our president, who is the chairman of the ECOWAS? Because to me, it's absolutely uncalled for. I mean, we are in the 21st century, and we think that gradually African leaders are moving away from this politics where they think that they want to remain in power, they want to die whilst they are in power, they want to, they think they are the only people who can rule a particular country. And I don't think this is something that is augur well for the sub-region. It doesn't in any way create a very good image about the African continent. It's once again taking us back. This is primitive, this is backward. I mean, this is in any way, it negates the credential that we have chalked as a continent. And this is not what African youths are basically looking up to. To the extent that you know the history of your country, you know the level of instability, the numerous instability your country have gone through. You know the number of lives that were lost when there was a political instability or upheaval in your country. And you made promise to the good people of Cote d'Ivoire. You assure them that, listen, you are standing for the president to serve a term. Once you are done, you are gone. There's no way you behave like your predecessor. There's no way you're going to behave like what we have witnessed in other African continents, African countries. And all of a sudden, this is worse than what we have experienced. Because we see some of the things that we have witnessed in African countries where presidents or what they call it, head of states have decided to, perpetuate themselves or have decided to stay on power. Sometimes you see it typically among people who are coming from military dictators or people who came to power through the barrier of a gun and what have you. But this is a democratic elected president who has finished his tenure. What is the rationale behind amending the constitution for what? What is the rationale behind it? What is the motivation? Why have you not? You see, he should be thanking the good people of Cote d'Ivoire for reposing that confidence in him, for standing behind him suddenly against the likes of Laurent Gbagbo. This is a betrayal of the trust that the people reposed in him. This is not what Africa is looking for. This is not what the people of Cote d'Ivoire are looking for. This is not what the international community are expecting from a man of his stature. A man who created an impression of an established Democrat. A man who we are told that, let's say, he had his education outside African suffrage. He's been respected within among their colonial masters, France and what have you. So what he's basically telling us, I want to know the position of France, their colonial master. I want to know their position. I want to know whether France will issue a statement condemning these acts being perpetuated by Alassane Ouattara. Because like my senior brother said, whatever that happens in Cote d'Ivoire, it has a ripple effect on Ghana as a country. Because we share a border with them. Some of even our citizens are currently living in Cote d'Ivoire. When you go to the western part of the country, see there are people who even traverse from Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire to go and transact businesses and what have you. So whatever happens to Cote d'Ivoire, it has, aside a political ramification, it has economic ramification, it has a social ramification as well. So I think this is condemnable. This is not what we are looking for as a continent. This is not what Ghana expects from President Ouattara. In this time, when we think that Africa is gradually moving away from this, this dictatorship, this one-man show within the continent where people think that, listen, once they have the political opportunity and once it's time for them to exit political power peacefully, so they allow another group of people to contest for presidency, all of a sudden they think that, listen, they have to find ways and means, shortcuts, ways and means to amend the constitution in order to perpetuate. I don't think it's the right thing. I am. Look at what happened to the prime minister. A former prime minister, where his whole, it's not even about his house. It's a town where he hailed from, completely burned down into ashes. What is the rationale behind it? And the president cannot just come and tell us that, let's say, he has no any foreknowledge, or he can't be exonerated from this. We know what happened, especially when it comes within the South African continent, especially when he has demonstrated that indeed he's not he's not going to relinquish power so easily. To the extent that we are told that even former President Konan Bedi and other people who want to even contest for the presidency, they are being frustrated, they are being molested, they are being witch hunted and what have you, not to the extent that they are even calling for a postponement of the election and what have you. I am particularly scandalized. I am particularly not happy about reading all these things about Cote d'Ivoire, especially with respect to the man in question, and knowing the circumstances by which he became the president of Cote d'Ivoire, knowing the fact that at a point in time we were being told that it was rather Laurent Gbagbo who was not ready to relinquish power, to the extent that people hail Ouattara for his democratic credentials and what have you not, and all of a sudden, because this is a recipe for disaster. What it means is Cote d'Ivoire is basically sitting on the timing bomb. And there's a possibility that there will be a replay of what happened during the times of Laurent Gbagbo, where there was civil war, tribal war, and what have you. And you see, one interesting thing about Cote d'Ivoire is the sensitive nature of the tribal, dynamics in Cote d'Ivoire. That is why anytime there's an election, you realize that, okay, people from this extraction, people from this part, the class when it comes to ethnic, classes and what have you. And that is one of the reasons why I think that President Ouattara should have actually taken into consideration if indeed he loves Cote d'Ivoire as a country, if indeed he loves Africa as a continent, if indeed he wants to add up to the credential that we have chalked as a continent when it comes to the gradual, what they call it, gains that we are making as far as what we call it, Africa democratic credential is concerned, this is condemnable. And I don't think that any well-meaning, what they call it, indigenous Ghanaian, or even somebody within the sub-region, or even somebody in Cote d'Ivoire, or even their colonial masters, quickly have to issue a statement, because I think that they orchestrated, they have played an important role when it comes to the political dynamics in Cote d'Ivoire. And I think that this time around, President Macron and what have you not, we want to see that role, we want to see that, listen, they are not even the brain behind this deliberate, you see, an extension of a tenure after he's done with his 2 consecutive terms. We want to see France and other superpower nations issue a statement to condemn this, so that at the end of the day, Cote d'Ivoire will just, I mean, there will be peace in Cote d'Ivoire, there will be stability in Cote d'Ivoire, so that it doesn't affect us as a country in Ghana. I mean, that's the only thing I want to say. And this is not, I'm not really happy about it. After reading the story even on BBC, I'm not really excited about it at all.
All right, thank you so much, Gala. Keep your messages coming in on 026084 6539. You can as well leave your comments, suggestions, and whatnot on our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pan African Television. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. Now, let's come back to Ghana. Mahama Jabs Akufo-Addo accuses him of drowning Ghana in huge debt vortex. And I'll start with you, Soprano, on this particular one.
Thank you, Kwame. President Mahama, I wish him well. I also wish President Akufo-Addo well. And, you know, I'm expecting that, you know, on December 7th this year, the Ghanaian people will surprise these 2 gentlemen, okay, by electing Mr. Ivor Greenstreet, so that the country, the temperature, the political temperature in Ghana can come down. My fellow Ghanaians, you need to take note that when you listen to the noises, with respect, the noises coming from the NPP and the NDC, it looks to me like the country is probably going to be in for a very tense period. You know, this election, indeed, even several organizations seem to be standing by for the election to pass before they take action. Indeed, even the Ejapa deal that the president's party is pushing is sort of on hold pending the election, because the people in London, where they want to float it, are not too sure who is going to win. And in case the sitting president does not win, you know what is likely to happen, because the flag bearer of the Convention People's Party, Honorable Ivor Greenstreet, has said that we in the CPP will not borrow any money. You see, that is the position of the Convention People's Party. We will not borrow any money. Rather, what we're looking at is trying to use internally generated funds to finish off all uncompleted projects in Ghana.
In any case, have you come out with your manifesto already?
Not officially, but you know, I'm sure we're expecting Mr. Greenstreet to make an announcement.
Okay.
But more importantly, one key item in our, you know, quest to have Mr. Ivor Greenstreet elected for the sake of Ghana is the fact that we will not be going for loans. So I just wanted to reassure His Excellency President John Mahama that if he votes for the CPP, for instance, he wouldn't have to worry about debt anymore in this country. We will not increase the debt. And I noticed President Mahama is very worried about the huge debt.
Internally generated funds,
yes, sir,
as said by the CPP. Do you think that we'll have enough to run all sectors of this economy?
I think that we will. Insofar as, for instance, to begin with, we don't intend to have 130 ministers.
Okay.
So that alone gives us enough money to run the country. We are not going to have so many ministers like President Akufo-Addo. Everywhere you look, there is a minister. You look left, there is a minister. And then you look a little left of left, there is another minister. And so on. So many ministers, we don't know what they are doing. For instance, one minister that I don't know what he's doing is the Zongo Development Minister. You understand? I don't know why we even still have that office. So I just wanted to say that insofar as the huge debt vortex that President Mahama is talking about, it's not going to happen with the Convention People's Party. We are saying that we need to cut our coat according to our size. If we do that, you understand, it's even biblical. If you do that, you'll be able to manage. So I can understand where President Akufo-Addo is coming from. President Mahama is coming from when he complains about this huge debt vortex. Please, if I'm not mistaken, a vortex. You see, maybe some listeners may not know what a vortex is. You see, a vortex, V-O-R-T-E-X, is like a bottomless pit, a spinning round, bottomless, insatiable. You know, President Akufo-Addo's economy, vortex, spinning debt wheel. You know, everything that goes inside disappear. Everything into the Akufo-Addo economy disappear. It disappears. You don't know where the money is going, and they are borrowing more and more money. And the vortex, it keeps on increasing the rate at which it is spinning. And then the country, we are sinking deeper and deeper under President Akufo-Addo. Deeper and deeper. Debt. A kankwa debt. And then we are using the money to build expensive $24 million hotel at Cantonments for rich people. And most Ghanaians cannot go to that hotel. And President Akufo-Addo is borrowing the money. And the vortex, it is spinning. And the President Akufo-Addo, he is borrowing. You know, bond, Japan, everywhere the president turns is borrowing. And even though the World Bank people have given President Akufo-Addo COVID finance, we don't even know what is happening to that, you know, and the borrowing is going on. And I must say that if there's one thing I'll forever remember, Mr. Honorable Oforiatta, Minister of Finance, for it is his prolific borrowing. He's a very good borrower. Honestly, we must give him credit for that. He knows how to borrow. Mr. Honorable Oforiatta, he's very adept, you know, maneuvering, then borrowing, then he will maneuver and borrow. So our country is...
There hasn't been any government that did not borrow.
No, you see...
Even the National Democratic Congress, complaining today, they borrowed.
Oh, I'm coming to them.
At the time, I think a lot of people were unhappy about the way and manner they were borrowing in government. And so, how possible is it that there will be a government who wouldn't borrow to build this country?
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is that for instance, there might be instances where the CPP government might be compelled to borrow from internal sources. You understand? But as to those kinds of borrowing from around the world, where we are borrowing everything and where we are not satisfied with the money we are getting and trying to sell our gold in advance and all those cockamamie strategies that the NPP is using, we will not be doing stuff like that. You understand? What we are trying to do is that we realize that under all the governments since 1966, when you know, the coup d'etat people, the traitors, I'm talking about people like J.K. Harley, the former IGP, the traitor, and the traitor Kofi Abrefa, no, not Kofi Abrefa, Afrifa, who was also another traitor, and you know, Mr. Kenel Kotoka, another traitor. All these traitors since 1966 that they did the coup d'etat, and they skewered the development trajectory of Ghana. The CPP will put things back on track, and we intend to complete all the projects that have been started by all previous governments, coup d'etat peoples or not. You see, so that is one area. That's how we're going to handle the situation without going out cap in hand like President John Mahama and President Akufo-Addo was doing before COVID. You know, always going to white people and begging, please, white people, Americans, we beg you, can you give us some money? We didn't get food today, please. Switzerland people, we are begging you, please, Japan. We have not eaten today, Japan. Can you give us something? We beg you. We are tired of our presidents continually begging other people for money. You understand? This country is a well-to-do country. As President Akufo-Addo said before he became president, Oman yo hiamai, and so accommodate. You understand? The president himself agrees that we are a well-to-do country. But because of mismanagement and confusion in government, you know, the president is just borrowing. He's borrowed us into oblivion, so to speak. So,
Soprano, just as you are trumpeting the CPP's policy of borrowing, have you quantified how much we are likely to get from internally generated funds and how much we are likely to spend on the economy?
I can get back to you on that. That is a very deep question that you've asked. And next week when I come here, I'll do my best
Exactly.
to give you that. But just in rounding up, what we are saying is that so President Akufo-Addo is borrowing a lot. But isn't it funny? Indeed, isn't it hilarious that President John Mahama should be complaining about borrowing? Because President John Mahama is himself a very, 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 very prodigious borrower. Prolifically so. President Mahama was borrowing left and right. The only person who has been able to borrow more than President John Mahama is President Akufo-Addo. You understand? So you could say that they are in a class of their own. Both gentlemen, super borrowers. You know, President Akufo-Addo and President Mahama, super borrowers. We in the CPP, we keep on telling Ghanaians that do not think that President John Mahama and President Akufo-Addo are different. They are Siamese, they are birds of a same feather. They are the same people. Their strategies are even the same. So on TV, they may come out to come and talk. But my intelligence tells me that they sit down and crack bottles, you know, drink 300-year-old whiskey together and other such, you know, bourgeoisie lifestyles. You understand? So our two presidents, President John Mahama and President Akufo-Addo, they are good friends indeed. And they meet sometimes and talk about Ghana and share a few expensive bourgeoisie drinks and salad, etc. whilst they are at it. You understand? So when President John Mahama talks about debt and complains about borrowing, it is a classic case of the kettle telling the pot it's black. But even more than that, it is also a case of the crocodile coming out of the river to tell you that the frog is dead. You see, when the crocodile comes out of the pond, the lake, the river, and tells you that the frog is dead, you got to take it seriously. So President Mahama is the frog and the crocodile in this analogy. You understand? Where he was borrowing massively.
The classical cases you've just talked about.
Sure.
Isn't it fair that in analyzing this situation, we look at how much borrowed by the erstwhile Mahama administration?
Sure.
And what they have used those monies for. And then we look at how much borrowed by this government and what those monies are used for. Then we are able to tell that indeed both have borrowed so much and they have nothing to show, or one has borrowed much, has something to show, one has borrowed more than the other and there's nothing to show.
I think that is a brilliant question, Justice. What do they have to show for it? On the face of it and physically, you see that President John Mahama has things he can point to, in my estimation, more than President Akufo-Addo. But I think that in all fairness, you understand, I have to also say that in as much as President Akufo-Addo's investments with the extraordinary amounts he's borrowed may not be visible, okay, I think that honestly, before God and man, we as political analysts must, really look at President Akufo-Addo and give him, credit for the free SHS program. Now, I said the free SHS, okay, and I want to compare it to infrastructure development. Okay. You understand? As a means to see how they've spent the borrowed money. And to the best of my knowledge, the president today, President Akufo-Addo.
So, give me a minute.
Okay.
I would have to go for a quick commercial break. Okay. I'll be right back.
Sure. Thank you.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
breakfast a day.
Every day.
Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Watching Good Morning Africa, and this is the newspaper review segment. Before we went for the break, Soprano Sapon, you were on the floor. Kindly go ahead.
Thank you. So what I was saying is that even if you don't like the impala is an animal you find in southern Africa. It's like a deer. It is one of the most beautiful deer-like creatures. You know, especially when it is in flight. It sort of bounces. It's really, elegant. But I'm saying, and it's a very fast runner. And they say that even if you don't like the impala, you cannot take away from its graceful flight, as they speak. So even if you don't like Nana Akufo-Addo, you understand? I'm sure you'll agree that he has managed to get one thing correct in his
What did he get correct?
And that is the free SHS.
Okay, so if you are using the free SHS as one of the projects they've borrowed for, one, even the free SHS in itself, they've told Ghanaians that they are using, I think, the oil revenue to fund it. But let's even assume that it is being funded from the borrowings that they've done.
Sure.
How much did they spend on the free senior high school policy, and how much have they borrowed so far?
Sure. Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, the President Akufo-Addo has, with his President Akufo-Addo calls, last time he came to speak about Honorable Oforiatta, he said that so far as, that's President Akufo-Addo speaking.
Okay.
President Akufo-Addo said, so far as he is concerned, Honorable Oforiatta has performed a miracle. So, just so you know, we are living in miraculous times. So, I'm just saying that President Akufo-Addo and his miracle maker, that is Honorable Oforiatta, the miracle maker, they have borrowed, to the best of my knowledge, $156 billion US. You understand? I don't know how to say that in Chi.
Okay.
I don't think there's a word to say it in Chi. So maybe the MPP people, they know it. But we in the C people don't know how to say it in Chi. But substantively, with regards to the free SHS, to the best of my knowledge, the government says it spent 3.6 billion Ghana cedis, which translates to about 800 million US dollars. Okay.
So then you take 800 million US dollars out of the 156 billion they have borrowed.
Oh, I wouldn't even do that, because
if we are saying that free SHS has been funded from the borrowing, the rest of the amount, what has it been used for? And those are the questions I think that Ghanaians
want
are
to
asking.
know. Sure, you see, that's it. Personally, I think that the president, in my estimation, has not adequately utilize the borrowings as we in the CPP would advocate. You understand? If you give Mr. Ivor Greenstreet $156 billion as president of Ghana, Ghana will become like Singapore. I'm telling you that, especially if when you consider that Mr. Ivor Greenstreet will be moving the economy along the path of the 7-year development plan that the CPP was running with in the first republic. You understand? Ghanaians should understand that that is the foundation stone of this country, and we cannot ignore it and build the Ghana that the founder, the father of this nation, envisaged. But what I'm saying here, though, is that even that 800,000, you see, I want to juxtapose the 800,000 million spent, the 800 million dollars or 3.6 billion cedis spent on free SHS. I want to juxtapose that against the investment made by President John Mahama in the educational sector. And if you do that, I think President Akufo-Addo has done better in that regard than President Mahama. I'll say this because, you see, no matter the infrastructure items that the President Mahama and the NDC were able to bequeath to Ghana during their administration, it was not up to $3.6 billion. So I think that we must be honest. Personally, I seek, every time I'm looking at things from a political perspective, I seek to look far upon the centuries of time, as they say. Because, as President Nkrumah said...
The issue is not about who did what. The issue is who is drowning this country
in debt.
Vortex.
And I'm answering that. I'm answering that. You see, I say that you see, debt can be good and debt can be bad.
Okay.
You understand? So when I look at the 3.6 billion cedis of all the massive debt that Mr. Honorable Oforiatta, the miracle maker, and President Akufo-Addo have accrued, and kind of loaded upon on the Ghanaian shoulder. Okay, what I see is that the 3.6 billion invested in the youth of this country is futuristic and is good. You understand? It tells me that President Akufo-Addo, despite all of his failings, his massive failings that seem to have impoverished so many Ghanaians to the extent that he's giving us free water by force right now because we can't even afford it otherwise. You see, and we thank him for the free water. But you see, when you invest 3.6 billion in the youth of this country, in the way President Akufo-Addo has done, although the results are not immediately tangible, I see the impact of what President Akufo-Addo has done with free SHS to potentially be in excess of what President Kwame Nkrumah did when he gave free education to all Ghanaians from the northern part of the country. You understand? So what I'm saying is that probably it is fair to say that the 3.6 billion invested in the potential of the youth of this country, because that is what it is. It's priceless. You understand? When you look at it from that perspective, that the impact, the acquisition of knowledge, and the talent development and the potential to enable Ghana to take off as a result of the free SHS and the education imbibed by the youth of this country, then I think that President Akufo-Addo has spent that money judiciously. But that money is not part of the $156 billion. That money is the oil money. As for the $156 billion, it beats me what President Akufo-Addo has done with it. And probably they will tell you that they've used it to retire some of the debts from the oil, the PPEs we signed, the arrangement we had with the power producing companies, etc. And the other time I heard the president complaining about some leftover debt from Mr. Mohammed's administration that he sought to, put to rest, but then again, all governments leave a debt. You understand? It's just that President Akufo-Addo's debt that he's leaving is so draconian. It is like a massive load foisted upon the future generations of this country. You understand? It is just terrible. So I agree with President Mahama when he talks about a huge debt vortex. But I just want to reiterate that although the President Akufo-Addo may have created a huge debt vortex, it also is quite competitive to the rather substantial debt vortex that President Mahama left. It's not as if President Mahama left without debt. In conclusion, all I'm saying is that Ghanaians, as you can see, President Akufo-Addo has foisted this 156 billion debt upon our heads. You understand? Even though he was the one saying that Yemen yetisikaso and so we are still hungry, Mr. President. We are still hungry. But that doesn't mean that President Mahama gave us adequate food. The future of this country means, the future of this country rests in you and I going to the polling station on election day and sending President Akufo-Addo home and telling President Mahama to continue staying home. President Mahama, continue to stay at home. President Akufo-Addo, go home to Nima. President Ivor Greenstreet, come and finish the 7-year development plan so that Ghanaian people can live a respectable life, so that the youth of this country, just 2 days ago in my area, there was an empty plot, and the youth of this country, the young boys and young girls, hustling, selling burkina, selling ice water, selling pawpaw in this President Akufo-Addo economy. These people sell these things in traffic, and in my area there was some empty plot, and they had gone to build kiosk, and they were staying there. The government of Ghana is not able to provide accommodation for the youth, and so you have a lot of young people still sleeping in their mother's room with their mother and father and stuff like that. So these people managed to build a kiosk, but because the leadership of this country in the Fourth Republic under the NDC and the New Patriotic Party is so terrible, there's massive homelessness. A bulldozer came there, justice, and bulldozed these Ghanaians, their kiosks, and people had TV in it. Some people had gas cooker. Some people had radio. Some people had mattress and mat. These are poor Ghanaians. and they came to bulldoze their stuff away. You understand?
Okay.
We were thinking that maybe the president and his party would take action, but they've never taken action. The NDP, I'm landing, and the NDC too has not taken action. All I'm saying is that the youth of this country, look, I'm talking to you, the youth of this country, we got to look sharp. You got to look sharp. Are you going to continue living under President Akufo-Addo under these circumstances where he goes to borrow this big money and you don't see a little bit of it? And they use the money to go and build a $24 million hotel at Cantonments for rich people. Have you been to Cantonments before? Have you been to a 5-star hotel before? How many Ghanaians need a 5-star hotel that will spend $24 million to go and build a 5-star hotel when you are sleeping in your kiosk? And even that kiosk, they came to break it down right now. And now you are homeless. You understand? So we got to look sharp. President Akufo-Addo, if he could do something for you, he would have done it for you by now. Look, you listening to me, if they make you president for 3 days, won't you solve problems and help your fellow Ghanaians more than President Akufo-Addo, who has borrowed $156 billion, and we are still fumbling and tumbling? President Akufo-Addo still fumbling and tumbling. So Ghanaians, this is an opportunity. Let us surprise the New Patriotic Party and the NDC. Let us surprise Akufo-Addo. Let's send him home. Send him home to Nima. Let him go and rest. When I saw President Akufo-Addo on TV yesterday, it was clear to me that he's already tired. He looks so weak and tired. He should rest. Ghanaians should give Mr. Ivor Greenstreet the opportunity to finish President Kwame Nkrumah's strategy for Ghana, so that we'll provide housing for you, so that your kiosk, they will not come and break it and leave you to fend for yourself on the streets of Accra. While they build a 24 million CPP, it's a vote for yourself. Vote for yourself this year. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Soprano. Soprano is very heated on that particular. He's been very emotional. Now, Dela, your take on this one?
Justice, you see, when it comes to issues about debt, I believe if the NPP as a political party, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, his vice, who happens to be the head of the economic management team, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if indeed they are principled, they have any modicum of humility, I believe they should just organize a big what they call it, conference and apologize to the good people of this country. We're in this country prior to the 2016 election when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia made a bold statement and told the good people of this country that indeed he has worked in Bank of Ghana before as a deputy governor. And in fact, having analyzed the resources that we are blessed with as a country, he thinks that we can industrialize this country without borrowing. This is according to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And I always say one thing, nothing indicts a man than his own words. The videos are there, the audios are there, his sound bites are all over. At a point in time, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo granted an interview to one of your sister, one of the radio or TV stations, said, indeed, Ghana, Yetikaso by comedy. That's what President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said.
What did he say?
He said, Yetikaso by comedy. To which, I mean, we are sitting on tons of what you call resources. Indeed, we are endowed with a lot of resources, but yet we are going through a lot of difficulties. That's what President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said. Then candidate Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So when it comes to issue about borrowing, we had thought, a lot of Ghanaians had even had so much confidence in this administration to the extent that they believe that there's no way President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, under the presidency of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we are even going to borrow a cent from anywhere, because according to the vice president, we could have industrialized this country without borrowing. But this issue about debts, where President John Dramani Mahama have alluded to, it's only President Mahama who is, he's not the only one who is a bit apprehensive or worried about the trajectory that the country is going when it comes to our debt portfolio. When the World Bank and the IMF did what we call the debt sustainability analysis, indeed in 2019 December, this is what the IMF said. The IMF said they were worried about Ghana's disposition, debt position. That is what the IMF said, to the extent that they cited Ghana and Cape Verde as one of the countries who are so much in debt distress. That is in 2019 December. When it comes to even somewhere in January, IMF and the World Bank, after doing their what they call debt sustainability analysis, we echoed the same thing, that they are not so happy about the trajectory that the country is embarking upon when it comes to our debt, what they call sustainability analysis. In fact, even in 17 January 2020, The IMF and World Bank said they are so worried to the extent that very soon Ghana is likely to be classified as one of the highly indebted distressed countries. That is according to the World Bank and IMF. So before even President John Dramani Mahama have come out to express his worry and displeasure about the level of debt that this particular dispensation is putting this country into, IMF, the World Bank, has actually re-echoed the same thing. But for me, one thing that is very instructive is, assuming all the borrowing that has happened under this particular dispensation, there was something, or there is something visible and evidential to point to. I believe Ghanaians will not have expressed this level of worry if indeed the NPP as a political party will be able to pinpoint what if you use this huge amounts of money that they've borrowed for. But when you ask a member of the NPP that what is there to show with respect to these huge amounts of borrowing, they cannot point to anything visible, anything verifiable. They are unable to point to you what they have done. I listened to the President of the Republic of Ghana being interviewed by a radio station, and when they asked him that even people are expressing concern about the level of borrowing under his dispensation, what is there concrete to show to justify this borrowing? Indeed, the President struggled to answer that particular question. Indeed, what the President actually said was the fact that, excuse me to say, with the greatest respect to your viewers, is that, when they go to certain constituencies, there are what they call toilet facilities there. If it's about toilet facility, this is something that in the past is attributed to assemblymen, district, what they call assemblies and what have you. So I'm not surprised that the President go to the August House in his State of the Nation address, where international communities are watching, and the President can only account to toilet facilities that he has built all over the country. Consistently, that is what he's priding himself when it comes to his visible and verifiable achievement. How much have President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo borrowed? From Dr. Kwame Nkrumah till the era of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Ghana has borrowed 120 billion. Today,
is it 120 or 122 billion?
122 billion. Today, less than 4 years, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo have borrowed $156 billion.
In addition?
I'm not talking, in addition. So what he has borrowed less than 4 years is more than putting the borrowing that happened during the era of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to President John Dramani Mahama. And we are asking you simple question, point to us what you have used this money for. And when you pose that question to them, the first thing they say, we have done free SHS. And the amount of money the MPP have spent when it comes to free SHS is not more than even 3 billion. It's 3.6 billion. Even with that, I'm being charitable with them. Assuming that is even the amount of money they've expended so far when it comes to the free SHS. So the point is this. During the era of His Excellency...
But you cannot lose sight of the fact that apart from the free SHS, the New Patriotic Party has said they have implemented successfully. We have the one district, one factory, one village, one dam initiatives. They have brought about the NAPCO initiative. Quite apart from that, the 1 million per constituency. They are telling you that they are able to build some, facilities within the constituencies with that amount of money. They've also, supplied ambulances to every district or every constituency across the country. They have done a lot that could have been accounted for.
It's Justice. I believe that your viewers watching us this morning were in this country. The sector minister, Honorable Minister Wakumsin, who happens to be my MP, was posed a question related to the one village, one dam. What did he say? She said he was allocated 250,000 Ghana cedis, and for her, there's no way she'll be able to construct a meaningful dam with 250,000 Ghana cedis. During the rainy season, during the dry season, in fact, the dishonesty, deception, and the level of lies that have actually characterized this particular demonstration was exposed in the northern part of the country, where there's supposedly one village, one dam. We saw what happened. We saw the video when the National Communication Officer of the NDC took journalists to the site, the very site that they claimed that they've constructed one village, one dam. And we all saw it on TV. We saw that indeed what they were touting in Accra indeed was not what was actually happening on the ground. So the issue about one village, one dam is something that even the good people of this country, they don't even want to hear. Even NPP communicators are not even proud to talk about it. The what they call $1 million per constituency, come to my own constituency, where the sector minister herself
There's nothing concrete enough for her to point to that this is what I've used $1 million per constituency. Is it the uncompleted, what do you call the warehouse that is at a 14 level? There's nothing in Utu Senye's constituency. I want to be specific with respect to my constituency. There's nothing to show. What they have done in Kaswa is not even worth more than $100,000. The only thing when you come to Kaswa you see relative to Honorable Mebisa Akumsin claiming that she has done so much in Kaswa is a ration of a billboard with her pictures splashed on it. That's the only thing that you see in the Utu Senye's constituency. You are talking about one district, one factory. I mean, come on. See, these are factories that has been in existence for, even some of them has been in existence before I was born. Some of them have been in existence before you were born. So, if the government at the end of the day is telling us that they've been able to construct one district, one factory, you are in this particular, what do you call, there's a district here, just a point to me where there's a factory. As far as that particular policy is concerned. Come to Kaswa, I can't point to any factory. Ask a lot of people in this country. There's no anywhere, they cannot point to a factory that was started from the scratch. So if it's about if it's about that, then His Excellency John Dramani Mahama built more than 100 factories. Do you know the amount of money President Mahama injected when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry? We are talking about almost about 50-something million Ghana cedis. So just suppose that with how much the NPP claim that they have invested with what we call it, giving stipends to what we call it, companies, and for that matter, all of a sudden, it become part of the one district, one factory. So on the basis of that argument, then it suffices to stand to argue that then President Mahama has constructed more than 100 factories in this country. What we are just simply saying is this: give us something concrete enough. Give us something to the extent that indeed Ghanaians will be proud about the fact that the amounts of money you have borrowed for less than 4 years, this is what you have used the money for. And just to see, when you look at even when we talk about our resource envelope, President John Dramani Mahama had 193 billion. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has had 375 billion. During our time, we had only one oil field. That was the Sankofa. During the time of what they call President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, they have the Sankofa, they have the Jijame, what they call field, they have the 10 field. And during our time, we were producing 80,000 barrels a day. Today, as we speak, we are producing 200,000 barrels a day. So, per all the evidence before us, the NPP has performed abysmally. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, see, surprised, don't we feel so scandalized that in this 21st century, you have a president of a republic go to the August House and what he touted as an achievement is toilet facility? I'm not trying to belittle the importance of toilet facility, but if you have a president who then in opposition called President Mahama as incompetent, as somebody who is inept, when President Mahama was showing the Kumasi KJTR market, the Rich Hospital, the University of Ghana Medical Center, the Kaswa Interchange, the Kotokoba Market, the Elmina Fish Processing Factory, the Kepo Sports Stadium, showing major roads in this country as his signature project.
How much did the NDC borrow?
We borrowed, I told you, we borrowed 56 billion. And I'm pointing
you borrowed 56
billion. Yeah.
How much out of the 56 billion did the NDC spend on those projects you've mentioned?
Justice, you're talking about how much we spend. And forget about even how much we spend. What I'm actually telling you is this. Somebody has borrowed 156 billion. Is that not a statement of fact? Is that not a statement of fact? That NPP have borrowed 156 billion, is that not it? We borrowed 56 billion, is that not it? So out of the 156 billion, I'll point to you, mention to me one project that can be equal to the circle interchange. One project. Let's even assume that the NDC has borrowed 56 billion. We did not even expend all of this money even on infrastructure. And I'm telling you that we have mention one project by the NPP that can equal the circle interchange.
But the argument is the circle interchange project was inflated. The price was inflated.
That is another. Sometimes I listen to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and no wonder Ghanaians all of a sudden have tagged him as a vice president who has gained notoriety when it comes to peddle on falsehood, lies. We sat in this country. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, prior to the 2016 election, held a press conference, talk about the fact that the Kaswa interchange has been inflated. You know the current deputy minister for road, the NPP ranking member those days in opposition, the current MP for is it Ejiso or something, Honorable Ewusu Duemi. He's a civil engineer. You know what he told President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo?
What did he tell?
He said, listen, you are speaking based on ignorance because one, the Kaswa interchange was not just the only flyover in Kaswa. It comes with a lot of ancillary projects. It was when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo got to know that indeed it was not just a flyover. It comes with 21-kilometer road from Kaswa to Amansami. It comes with polyclinic. It comes with schools. It comes with water projects, in some part of Ghana East and what have you. So if you are talking about an interchange, you are talking about it has been inflated. The point is this. Look at the specifics. Look at the details of that particular project and do the comparison. You cannot just be talking about the fact that, this project has been inflated. Granted, even the project has been inflated. How many people has the NPP managed to haul before any court of competent jurisdiction of inflating what they call it a road project? Or inflating of what they call project? Is it a crime? What have they done about it? When during our time we were doing 1 kilometer of what they call it asphalt road, they were telling it was 1 million. They said it was too expensive. Today they are doing $1.6 million. So the NPP in itself has lost credibility when it comes to issue about comparison. What I'm just simply saying is this. Whilst President Mahama is showing projects that are so visible, that can be verified, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is starting toilets as his project. While President John Dramani Mahama is talking about when you go to what they call President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, his hometown, we are talking about a major water project. Bequeathed to the good people of Chebi, where President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he's to point west what he has done. The only thing is, we've erected what they call it a polytank. Can you compare polytank to a massive water project in the Chebi enclave? So, talking about road, talking about hospital, talking about schools, talking about infrastructure, what have you not? There's no way you can compare the NPP that has borrowed 156 billion to the NDC that borrowed 56 billion. And that is why I'm saying that it has gotten to a point that we should elevate the discourse to another level. It has gotten to a point that I think that some section of the journalists have to be probing enough. Because assuming it was President John Dramani Mahama that is showcasing toilet facilities, that is showcasing non-existing project, that is going around commissioning project that was bequeathed to him by his predecessor, showing it as achievement, what would journalists would have done in this country? When President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo going around, when it comes to what they call the Temamoto Way, the Appiah, what they call it, the Takra, what they call Tema Harbour expansion, the Takra Harbour expansion, and President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has no shame to even bequeath that project to himself. And this was the same project like Takrady Harbour. When Honorable Memisa Akumse and MP in what they call Takrady, they took the government of Ghana to court. They were fighting against the same project. All of a sudden, the president said the project belonged to him. So tell me what President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let every member of the NPP tell what they have done. And when it comes, they say free SHS. The one that they've implemented with a lot of what we call it challenges. And one of the things I keep on asking myself is justice is this. Justice. Today as we speak, but for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, some of the students who are currently in the Wutu Senior East constituency, the government, what they call the John Mahama Community Day Senior School, where would they have been? President Mahama, even in Central Region, built 15 Community Day Senior School. How many secondary schools have the NPP built from the scratch? President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in a video told us that he will build 350 secondary from the scratch within 18 months. He should tell me how many blocks has he even been able to, what do you call it, put on the ground. He told us that he will transform this economy, being it infrastructure and what have you. What has been the nature of our economy, infrastructure and what have you not? So look at the roads. You suspended cocoa growing, cocoa what they call roads. And the only one you managed to continue is the one from Appiah Junction that leads to your hometown. The only one that you manage to continue is the one that takes you to your hometown. What about those in the western part of the country who give us almost about 300,000 tons of cocoa? You have abandoned that project because that is not where you hail from. So when we are talking about, when President John Dramani Mahama is talking about the level of borrowing that has happened under this particular administration, to the extent that there's no project that they can point out to and tell us that, listen, yes, we have borrowed, but this is the project that we have used the money for. So that at least Ghanaians will say, okay, fine, in as much as you have borrowed, in as much as Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia lied to us about the fact that they will not borrow, you have borrowed. But these are the things that you have used the money for. There's nothing concrete to show. There's nothing evidential for anybody to point to. And what you are basically just doing is, and you see, Sobrano says something and which I want to respond to. Okay. See, the only reason why this government continue to borrow is because the finance minister, who happens to be the present cousin, is his financial institution, which is Data Bank, is the financial advisor to this government when it comes to borrowing. And you know how much we pay to them? The amount of money that is being paid to Data Bank for being what we call a consultant or advisor when it comes to borrowing. So if you have a president whose cousin owns a bank or owns a financial institution, and that financial institution is the consultant, the advisor, anytime you are borrowing, that is the excitement with which they are borrowing. That is what actually motivates them to go out there to go and borrow. Not because they want to develop this country. Because anytime they go and borrow, anytime maybe when we go for this bond and what have you, the amount of money that is paid to Kenofurata Data Bank, you don't know. Huge amount of money. That is why Honorable Adongo begin to question that nowhere in the world that you have a finance minister who appoints his financial institution to be the advisor to government when it comes to borrowing. So that is a source of motivation. Because unlike President John Dramani Mahama, who was borrowing to develop this country, to be equipped to this country, lasting project that will even live beyond President John Dramani Mahama, project that is even meant for generation yet unborn, that was President Mahama's motivation. To show something that in the future, young people who are yet to be born will come and benefit from it. But when it comes to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, it's all about enriching his and his family. It's about creating a generational wealth for even his generation yet unborn. That is the motivation. So we want the MPP to come and respond to President Mahama and say, listen, we have built this hospital. We have built these schools. We have transformed this part of the country. We have constructed this road. Not showcasing to the good people of this country projects that do not exist. Not showcasing to the good people of this country projects that were executed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And I keep on saying that MPP has never been consistent. They lack principle and they have never been others to the good people of this country. We live in this country. Those days when we were showcasing what was captured in the Green Book, the MPP were going around telling the good people of this country it was a Photoshop. But all of a sudden, a project that you once said it was a Photoshop, a project you are going around commissioning. When President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, prior to the 2016 election, told the good people of this country that President Mahama was going around commissioning projects, and for that matter, he's so desperate. See, President Mahama was commissioning projects. You know what are you doing? No wonder a chief in the western part of the country said, listen, don't believe the president, don't trust this president because he just had put some pickers in his car going around cutting stock. We want to see something evidential. We want to see something that indeed the money you have borrowed, the 156 billion, the 379 billion, that is the resources that has come to you as a government less than 4 years. Show us what you have used the money for. Not going around, people who have built, even Kasapreko, I'm told that they are using it as one district, one factory. Even Appiah, we even existed before President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo became president. He's using it as one district, one factory. This level of deception, Ghanaians are tired and sick of it.
But the issue of one district, one factory, the New Patriotic Party says they have promised the good people of Ghana in their manifesto that when they come, they are going to do PPP, private-public partnership, where they will assist, some existing factories that are facing financial challenges to be able to revamp and, be able to recruit some, a significant number of Ghanaians. And that's exactly what they are doing because according to them, that is what they have promised in their manifesto.
Justice, you see. When I see that, I always tell you one thing. One of the Waterloo, one of the biggest challenges of the MPP is because of the era we find ourselves, the digital era. Go and listen to the soundbite of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He said, when we come, because you see, when you are saying you are doing partnership, he said, when we come, if you are saying that existing company, is that the way you are saying? So in my constituency, Kaswa, where is the company that existed? Which company exists in Kaswa? See, they gave us infographic. I don't know whether you saw it. Infographic depicting what kind of factory they are going to establish in every constituent. In my constituency, they were talking about what we call poultry feed. In Kaswa, that's what they said. So in every constituency, they were giving us the infographic that this is the company, having done assessment, having done the feasibility and whatever, this is the company that we intend to establish or construct in this particular constituency. Have
you laid hands on the MPP manifesto? Have you checked what the promise on one district, one factory is in the manifesto?
I've checked it. Are you talking about the manifesto that upon doing analysis, they had a score of 14%? That if only managed to deliver the 83, what they call promise out of 600 and something. Is that the same manifesto you're talking about? Just to see, even the MPP communicators themselves, they are not even proud to hold their own manifesto. If they look at what is captured in their manifesto, just opposing what they are doing today, they feel so ashamed about it. It's only the president who is being misled, which I know that obviously the president has gained notoriety because consistently he has told her that he has been misled.
Okay.
So I'm not surprised that the president is speaking so highly of his achievement when the evidence on the ground.
Okay.
When the good people of this country, the citizens of this country, know for a fact that the president has virtually achieved nothing. So what I'm just simply saying is, President John Dramani Mahama was in the central region. And you see, Justice, there's one thing I admire by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. See, when you put President Mahama here and ask him every single sector of the economy that he presided over, he can tell you from A to Z what he delivered with respect to that particular sector. But no wonder President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo consistently has been running away from debating President John Dramani Mahama.
But one district, one factory.
Yeah.
You see, my issue is that manifestos are presented with policies that various political parties would want to implement when they are given a nod to rule the country. And so political parties who are ruling the country are going to be held responsible based on things they include in their manifesto. The New Patriotic Party, in its manifesto, when it comes to one district, one factory, which I read, talks about partnership with the private sector. And that's, according to them, exactly what they are doing. So you mentioned the likes of Kasaprekun, Appiah, B5 Plus, and all those factories and all of that, which they have duly supported and all of that. So is it an issue of what politicians say on political platforms or what they include in their manifesto?
You see, Justice, it all really matters. What is captured in the manifesto and what is said on a platform. Do you know how many Ghanaians even had the opportunity to peruse through the MPP manifesto? How many Ghanaians had the opportunity to peruse through the MPP manifesto? So when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia mounts a political campaign and told the good people of, let's say, Ewutu Senye, his constituent, when I come, I'll make sure I establish a factory here, poultry feed factory. And now they swallowed that statement hook, line, and sinker. And on the basis of that, they voted for you massively. Okay. And you come and turn around and say, listen, in my manifesto was about me partnering with a private sector. Are you not engaging in deception? Do you want them to take you serious with all the statements? Then the MPP should stop going to a campaign. They should stop making some of the promises that they are making on their campaign trail. Then they should just say, listen, go and read our manifesto. Because the point is that, you see, and that is, you see, it goes to all political parties. We are getting to a point. People like Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, which a lot of Ghanaians, if you sample their view, they said he has, all of a sudden, the V position has become more or less synonymous deception, to the extent that all of a sudden, people don't even trust the vice president. His credibility has been battered, to the extent that even the MPP themselves. I remember recently when he made a point with respect to the Okada, you have MPP communicators taking him on. Some audios were flying all over, saying that, listen, he's making their campaign quite difficult. Because the point is, if you are telling the good people of this country, you go to the rural areas, you go to the typical villages, and you mount a campaign platform, and you assure them of this, A, B, C, and D, and quickly you come back to Accra and come and tell them, oh, what I told you, it was an afterthought, it was a political gimmick, it was an empty rhetoric, it doesn't in any way, it has not been captured in my manifesto, and for that matter, you should not hold me accountable. Nothing indict a man than his own words. So once Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have said this, when he was on the campaign, and people voted for the MPP on the basis of that. See, the same happened to these free SHS. When we started implementing it progressively, that even the MPP themselves, Napo even admitted it on the floor of Parliament, that indeed President Mahama bequeathed to them some debt because of what we call implementation of the free SHS. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo even granted an interview and said, listen, he thanked President Mahama for implementing the free SHS and what have you not. All of a sudden, a lot of Ghanaians voted for the MPP. People who had even the award in Form 2, had the award in Form 1, voted for the MPP at that time because they knew that even once the MPP come to power, the award might be in Form 2, Form 3. They will enjoy the free SHS. But when they came, you know what they did?
Kindly step down.
They did it progressively. They started with those who were in Form 1. So is that not deception? So you misled the people. The president is no wonder he's fond of misleading the people because he himself is always being misled. So he find it expedient to mislead the good people of this country because he himself is a victim of always being misled. That is what I'm saying.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Delali. We need to move on. I mean, but I'll give you your time for the next topic. No, I'll come to you. I'll give you For the next topic, you touch briefly on that, and then you do justice with it for me. Good morning, Justice. Please tell the NDC man that their government could not pay any arrears of teachers and allowances, so the money MPP borrowed are used to do all I mentioned. Suleimana from Pusiga sent in that one. Thank you so much, Suleimana, for your message. Good morning, Pan African TV, and to all our viewers, fellow Ghanaians. Let's unite and make Ghana better. For every country to grow, it has to concentrate on its infrastructure development, education and jobs. This is what His Excellency JDM is all about. The second coming of JDM is job, job, job. Let's all join the rescue mission and rescue Ghana from the incompetent Nana Bawumia government. My regards to Honorable Nakoyo Okuno and all ASECANs. Special one to my senior, Delakwashi from Ridwan Musa in Kaswa Ridwan. Thank you so much for your message. Good morning, Justice. I want to make it clear that we are still experiencing progressively free SHS education because these students are not given money by the government to rent their rooms away from their parents' homes. Okay, I think that's what you meant. Thank you so much for your message. Good morning, Justice. Please stop calling the WhatsApp line. How do you expect me to answer your call on the tablet? Please just stop calling. Justice, this is Ibrahim from Second D. The MPP talked about partnership with the private sector to build factories in each and every one of the districts. This is different from providing stimulus packages to existing factories, most of which are in Accra, which has been done by the previous government. Thank you so much for your message. Good morning, Justice. The President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and his vice, Dr. Bawumia, lied and deceived Ghanaians for us to vote for them. Sometimes I whip within and wonder what we did wrong by voting this government into power. I really want to know what exactly Nana Akufo-Addo has done apart from free SHS, which they have failed woefully, but see none. They've done exactly the opposite of what they promised, and they say what? Please don't call the WhatsApp line. Unfortunately, I cannot pick calls on the tablet. They've done exactly the opposite of what they promised, and they say what? We should give them 4 more years to steal and then finally destroy the country. No. How Kumse will go and Nakoyo Okuno is coming. My greetings to my boss, Delali. My name is Mami from Kaswa. Mami, thank you so much for your message. I have a lot of messages here. Let me read 2 more and then come back. Good morning, Justice, and to your panel. Let's also note that the free SHS money is coming from all money, but not the 157 billion borrowed. Okay, you've sent in that one from Bole. Thank you so much for your message. Emmanuel Nketia from Afrancho. NDC has nothing to show. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for your message. Williams from Budumbram Camp. Good morning, Mr. Host. I want to inform the CPP that the CPB man that for the past 3 months our water is not flowing in our homes, and now they are telling us it's free. What is free about it? I live directly opposite Triple X at Budumbram Camp, and directly opposite Triple X there is valve tanker that we queue just to get water. Thank you so much for your message. Please make the messages simple and concise, so it will make it very readable for me. Please allow President Akufo-Addo to help our children have free and quality education. We understand that President Mahama has filled your pockets with money to cater for your children in school, and you think you can fool with the poor and needy? No way. Rashid in Wa sent in that one. This one says 4 more for Nana to sleep at gatherings and conferences. Stephen in Insuta Boem. Thank you so much, Stephen, for your message. Good morning, sir. We are reminding the MPP government to fulfill their promises by paying our teachers their legacy arrears. From Mohammed inside Yendi. Mohammed, thank you so much for your message. Good morning. The only achievement of this government is the collapsing of Ghanaian-owned businesses. Samson from Tabora sent in that one. Samson, thank you so much. Former President John Dramani Mahama was president for 8 years. He's comparing his 8 years project with 4 years of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana. Good morning. Pan-African is one of the best TV stations so far. God richly bless you. We want to ask where Honorable Howard Kumsin's issue has ended. Secondly, why the MPP don't want to show where exactly they did the things they claimed they have done as NDC are doing. Lastly, why Peace Council? Why is the Peace Council quiet? Is it that they want Ghana to bend before they start to talk, or we don't have Peace Council? By Soglo Azamama from Wa. Thank you so much for your message. I cannot take your messages anymore. I have a lot of messages. Let's deal with the final topic and go. This one says, my life is in danger. My life is in danger. MP cries out. Daily Searchlight. Story on pages 1 and 2. Soprano. Deal with what you want to say briefly, and then you have 5 minutes to deal with everything for me.
Appreciate you, Kwame. I just wanted to briefly touch on justice. Forgive me, justice. I just wanted to briefly touch on the toilet facility. Jala was saying that President Akufo-Addo seems to be focused so much on toilets. And incidentally, Dela, I happen to be very focused on toilets too. You understand? It is so critical that in the 21st century, open defecation is so rife in this country. It doesn't speak well of us. And in fact, President Mahama is also very concerned about the whole toilet issue. So under President Mahama's leadership, in the Greater Accra region, there was a program called the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Sanitation Water Project. They call it the Gamma SWP. I think it was a landmark project where they sought to provide in Greater Accra, low-income households. They defined it. There's a certain definition, like, they are talking about the average Ghanaian who is living in one room with his father and mother and brothers and sisters, all sleeping in one room. That President Akufo-Addo is not able to change. But those people don't have toilets. You remember I talked about the people living in kiosk. You understand? Now, for those Ghanaians who lived in already developed areas, you may not see the phenomena of lack of toilets and its impact on kiosk dwellers. You understand? They do it in a rubber bag. Let's say it, Ghanaians. People do their business in a rubber bag, a black polythene bag, and then they throw it. Toilet. Let's be frank. So, President John Mahama brought the Gamma SWP. You understand? To provide water, clean water, and toilets for households. If you pay about 1,000 cedis, and they'll give you time to pay it. And if you say President Akufo-Addo is also trying to build some more toilets, I think it is in order. We have a toileting problem in Ghana. By the way, the toilet, if we don't build toilets for Ghanaians, when they go and do open defecation, the germs in people's feces seeps through the ground into the underground water that you and I drink. So eventually you and I will be drinking somebody's toilet germs. So this toilet situation is very important, and I just want to encourage President Akufo-Addo to do. Now I'll give you 4 more years to build more toilets if that's what you want.
Let's move away from that and deal with the other topic.
Yeah, Kwame, just briefly, to tell the truth,
you keep saying
Justice,
Kwame.
Forgive me, it's force of habit.
Okay.
Justice, I don't have much information about the MP who is saying his life is in danger. However, I think I can still tackle the question, especially considering the several attacks that seem to be, directed at
Okay, so I can read the story a bit. My life is in danger. MP cries out. The New Patriotic Party MP, Member of Parliament for Takwa and Swayam constituency in the Western region, George Mreku Duka, insists his life is in great danger and has thus appealed for help from several groups, including the police, to intervene. Quote, over the past couple of months, I have been on the receiving end of hateful abuse and indeed threats against my life and that of my family, he said, unquote. Honorable Duka alleged that some thugs have been harassing him and members of his family and laid the blame at the doorstep of the Ghana Police Service for failing to arrest and prosecute persons behind the chieftaincy crisis, which had brought about a tense atmosphere, making it difficult to campaign in the constituency with some few months to go for an election. Honorable Duka gave some instances where some persons were engaged to attack him physically in his house, but they met his absence. The attackers, however, did not spare members of his immediate family. Some were beaten and they sustained life-threatening injuries. Those who escaped had to jump through windows and run for their lives. The MP revealed that he has petitioned the Interior Minister and the Inspector General of Police over the issue of the Dumping Chieftaincy crisis, but to no avail. I have further petitioned the President, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, over the issues and by extension the unprofessional conduct of the police in the area, and I am awaiting a response from the Presidency, he disclosed. In the face of these threats, Honorable Duka passionately appealed to the security agencies to step up their game and arrest and prosecute those behind the dumping Pepase chieftaincy crisis in order to bring closure to the chieftaincy crisis, because people have deliberately resorted to peddling unfounded lies just to create discord and disaffection in the constituency. According to him, the one-time chief of the area and had to abdicate the seat because of his desire to represent the MPP in the constituency as the member of parliament. He said since the abdication as chief, his successor has not known peace till date, and there seems to be no end in sight because the police provided security for the installation of a rival chief in my area without any recourse to me as the MP when there already exists sitting chief. It goes on and on and on and on. So it has to do with
Kwame, I appreciate Justice, I appreciate, and I'll be brief about it.
Very well.
You see, what I really want to know, you see, these attacks against our MPs, needless to say, is completely unacceptable. But one is compelled to ask, what is accounting for this? And indeed, are the MPs the only ones under attack? You understand? Because when you look at the number of MPs who have come under attack as a percentage of the number of MPs,
okay,
and then you juxtapose that against, say, bank managers. You understand? And then you juxtapose that against university lecturers. Okay, you could also juxtapose that against even, there was a lady in Tema who was working at the harbor who was attacked in her home and killed. So
then she was a PR.
She was a PR, right? You see, so Justice, the question we ask is, and so when the MP was murdered, unfortunately, the Ghana police, as I've always been saying, that these our Ghana police people are amongst the best police people in the world, if adequately motivated. So the IGP, when the president threatened him with a loss of job, and because the IGP was afraid he would become unemployed and come and live in a kiosk in my area or something like that, like the unemployed Ghanaians, all of a sudden, the IGP, he lived up to what he is capable of by the Ghana police, and they arrested these people. So we are wondering, do you have to be an MP before police can take quick action to resolve your issues? Because the lady in Tema, the PR for the Gapoa, we still don't know what has happened to the people who, took her life. I'm very sure if she was an MP, they would have found her by now. So I'm encouraging Ghanaians to try, if you're a Ghanaian, go and run for MP. They'll give you a policeman and all those protections. Because, Kwame, Justice, I support the MPs being protected. But are they the only ones who need protection? You understand? By the way, the policeman, is the policeman given to the MPs as protection? Is he going to be following the MP around everywhere, or is it only on official duty? You understand? Because, Justice, one thing you need to understand is that a lot of our members of parliament are absentee parliamentarians. They don't go to parliament. You don't find them in parliament when we pay them extraordinary sums of money. We give them brand new cars. We give them ex gratia, per diem clothing allowance, and they are treated like dignitaries, which they are. And a lot of them don't go to parliament anyway. They don't go and do their work. So we want to know, is the policeman going to be following the MP around when he's going to eat fufu, and when he's going to do this, and when he's...
Can you make it snappy for me?
Yes, or what is going on? And are they the only ones who need protection? Because the chief of Appiah, I think they said Appiah, I went to a funeral there. Appiah, thank you. It's a beautiful place. I went to a funeral there. A friend of mine, his daddy was one of the bosses at immigration about 3 years ago, and I went to the funeral. It was fantastic. But the point is, the chief of Appiah is calling on the Ghana police to send troops there to protect them. So what about the people in Appiah? You understand? And whilst we are at it, what about our chiefs? Shouldn't all our chiefs across the country, I think there are about 10,000 or 50,000 of them, we should give them policemen. Our chiefs are very, very important, Justice. You see, so we want the MPs to be protected, but we also need protection ourselves. You understand? What we are saying here is that Ghana police, we have faith in you, but don't always prove your worth when an important person like an MP is dead.
All right.
It amazed me, and I was highly impressed that it took them 2 or 3 days to make this arrest. You understand? Meanwhile, they, when other Ghanaians die, people like you and me, when we are attacked by armed robbers, etc., you don't see the police living up to expectations. You understand? And that is why some of us are saying that we should elect the IGP. If the IGP was elected at the ballot box, all Ghanaians will be safer instead of only the MPs who are getting these expensive, well-equipped, top-notch policemen following them around everywhere, whilst the rest of us Ghanaians who voted for them continue to have to face armed robbers left and right. So as for our MPs, and then they give them ex gratia, and then they don't go to work.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is that if you are an MP and we give you a policeman, the policeman should be with you on official duties. You understand? Like, for instance, if you are campaigning, you understand? But otherwise, if you are an MP and you are not coming to Parliament to do your work, then you should face the masses. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your submission, Soprano. Della, kindly take us on.
Mr. Justice, when you read the Security and Intelligence Act 526, the President of the Republic of Ghana, the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, is the Chairman of the National Security Council. And it's instructive to recount what President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo said, because in the NPP manifesto, that is page 146, chapter 14, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, then candidate Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, employ the good people of this country at that time to blame all the insecurity in the country rightly at the doorstep of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama at that time. And myself and you, including my senior brother, will admit that the level of insecurity that we have witnessed under President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo is unprecedented. And the irony is also during the era of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo that we've had a lot of security appointees who are basically in charge of our security. We have a national security minister, we have his deputy, we have the interior national security coordinator, national security advisor. Even at the district level, for the first time, we have district security coordinators as well. So, and you remember when President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo was interviewed during his press, when meeting the press, and a question was posed to him as to why he has decided to appoint a lot of ministers, or his appointees were many. One of the arguments he made in response to the question was the fact that he thinks that the owing to the nature of the job that he intends to do, that is why he needed a lot of appointees to be able to execute the job to perfection. But unfortunately, it's during his era, it's during this plethora of appointees that we are witnessing a breakdown of security. And you see, I am particularly one person who I find it a bit uncomfortable anytime we decide to talk about security, because he affects, quote unquote, a prominent member within the society. The Takrady girls who were murdered, as we speak, we don't know whether they are dead or they are still alive. It's something that any well-meaning Ghanaian, these are young girls. We don't know who eventually out of them would have become the next scientist, the next discoverer of the cure for HIV, the COVID, the next best engineer. One of them could obviously become one of the best engineer or discoverer. Their life matters. The ordinary people in Kaswa who were killed by armed robbers, their life matters. The market woman who was traveling to Honorable Atufossin's hometown, who were ambushed by armed robbers, some were killed, their monies were taken, their properties were seized. Their life matters. The market woman selling in Abosokan, Makola, Kantamanto, their life really matters. So you see, we cannot live in a society where we think that one life is more precious than the other. I don't subscribe to that kind of argument. I believe that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has failed woefully. He has been very abysmal. He has been a total disaster when it comes to issue about security, to the extent that he got to a point. The American embassy, the Australian embassy, the British embassy have issued a directive
to their citizens to be careful the moment they touch down in Ghana. This is not an investor, what they call friendly atmosphere that we are creating. When it comes to Honorable Mreku Duka, I mean, for him, for some time now, it's obvious that he has issues with his own, what they call the party, the MPP. You know, he was engaged in a physical scuffle with Charles Bisu, to the extent that pictures were trending all over social media. He has a swollen face. When Charles Bisu had a swollen face, he had a bandage on his finger that he was bitten by Charles Bisu and what have you. And as we speak, when we go to Takwa, I'm told that Charles Bisu is sponsoring an independent candidate, Joyce Adu, also to contest him, and the issue about chieftaincy and what have you. What I'm actually saying is this. I saw some of the pictures, you know, splashed on social media, the gory nature of how people were butchered and some were hurt in their head, and it was actually a life-threatening, you know, wounds that were actually inflicted on them. So what I'm just saying is this: he must admit that indeed security in this particular dispensation that he's part of has really been a mess. We saw what happened in Ayawaso Westwagon. We saw an instances people moved to the Flagstaff House where ACP Nanka Bruce was beaten to pulp right there at the presidency. We saw an instance it has never happened before. Political hoodlum, political vigilante groups storm a court premises to the extent that they just have to run for her life. We saw a video trending on social media where MPP, what they call Delta Force, Invisible Forces, they claim that they are not satisfied with government's appointee relative to who was appointed as a regional security coordinator in the Ashanti region. They actually pulled him out, beat him to pulp, blood was oozing out. We saw it, nothing has happened to them. We saw an instances where MPP vigilantes stormed what we call it, a program in Tema, actually threatened the president and threatened his appointees to the extent that they were not giving job, and for that matter, something will happen. Nothing has happened. We saw an instance in Manasseh expose where a group of people were trained at the castle. You know, the Delta Forces, the Invisible Forces. Manasseh, through his investigative journalism, exposed what they call this particular nefarious activity. The only response was the government to discredit Manasseh Awuni. The government, you know, unleashed its attackers on him to the extent that Manasseh became fellow threatened. He left the country. And finally, you cannot tell me that what they call it, Honorable Mreku Duke's life is better than what Abba Swale. I mean, who was murdered after an MP had threatened live television. What has happened to the man who threatened Ahmed Swale to the extent that subsequently he was murdered in a cold blood? So you see, there has been a series of what they call insecurity in this country. And I'm saying that if President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, once again, if he has principle, if he has values, if he indeed is someone who respects what he said when he was then candidate Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, when he said President Mahama is presiding over an insecure state, and for that matter, President Mahama should be voted out, then President Nana Danko has no moral right to even mount any campaign platform and talk about his what they call his mandate being retained. So that what I'm just saying is every life matters. Every single life in this country matters. The life of the ordinary charcoal seller matter, that of the president matter, that of a opposition matter. Those of us sitting here as communicators, our life also matter. We cannot live in a country that we are so selective as to who we have to protect, who we have to ensure that they have adequate security. Because see, the very MPs today, we are crying that they should be protected. Once upon a time, we're just like us. Am I lying? Justice? Once upon a time, they were just like the son of the charcoal seller. So everybody life matters. We don't know who become the next MP, next member of parliament, next president of the Republic of Ghana, or next best scientist in the history of this country. So every life matters.
All right, thank you so much, Jala, for your submission. We are so grateful. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much, Soprano, for coming. This is what time will last on the program for today. Make a time with us, same time tomorrow. My name is Justice Appiah, and this is Good Morning Africa, the newspaper review segment. Goodbye.